All right. Good morning, everyone. Good day, wherever you are in the world. And welcome back. It's lovely to see you all as always. And let's begin with the superpower state. So take a deep breath and go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. So repeating your word or phrase, using your anchor, or imagining hugging your subject. Very good. And allow your heart to expand. Feel that expansion in your heart. Feel that feeling of expansion, your heart growing larger. And allow that energy to shine out. That light or energy. Very good. And now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. Good job. And now allow that light or energy to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. And send a little extra of that light or energy to any part of your body that you wish was different in some way, whether it's symptoms or form or whatever's going on. Send extra of that superpower, that love, to that part of your body specifically. Loving it exactly as it is, no matter what. Very, very good. And now think of yourself as a child and fill that little you with that same light, that energy, that love. Love that little you just for existing. And allowing that light or energy to overflow from that little you. Spread out and fill your whole childhood, no matter what. Shining light into any darkness. And now allowing that light or energy to fill each person on this call today. Those who are on camera, those who are off camera, fill everyone in this group with that light, that energy, that love, no matter what. Exactly as they are. Very good. All right, you can open your eyes if you haven't closed. And let's check in with everybody to find out how you're all doing. So, Katrina, hi, how are you today?
Yes, I just love it the way you start with me, Odile.
You were the first one on my screen.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm getting more comfortable. I used to be super uncomfortable, but that's good, isn't it?
Yes, you're a fantastic, shiny example. So it's lovely to start with you.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Right. Sorry. Just an update on my granny.
Yes.
So we've revamped her, and she we have a beautiful memory of her now, and I just want to describe her as she was just a little wee Irish gem. Steve, help me with that one.
Oh, I love that.
What is it? A granny gem? Oh, well, yeah, an Irish granny gem. Yeah.
Aww.
And she was lovely. So there you go.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Good job.
Anyway, Steve has given me homework, so I would like just to listen today.
Good. Okay. Good job.
Yeah.
Well done, Katrina.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
All right. And Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Hi. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Okay, so last week I forgot to tell you, I had this memory surfaced. It had to do with money. And so I grew up with, well, see, I saw a picture of myself when I was little, and but it surfaced in my mind's eye. I don't know why this picture appeared to me, but I was thinking, wow, there's something that felt like there was still lingering there, even though I'm having such a great time with this, but stuff still comes up, the files, Anyway, so my aunt was a billionaire with a B, right?
Wow.
And so, and they did agriculture and all that stuff in Northern California. But she was by marriage, it was my uncle that was, they came here from Europe. And anyway, so she was very, very stingy with her money, never gave anything, just hoarded money, right? And she lived till the day she died. She was 105 and still doing real estate.
Wow.
She was a feisty one. Anyway, so my uncle had died like 20 years previous. So anyway, what happened was once I made the connection to see her more generous, because she didn't include anybody in the businesses or anything on my father's side and everything, even though they did their own thing. It was just, even till the end, she would make people fight over it. It was really weird. But anyway, so what clicked for me was that I was like, wait a minute, I'll see her generous, because she was very controlling over even my dad's side of the family. So once I saw her generous and giving and full of love, and even though she's crossed over, yeah. I received like a windfall for 2 days. Like it was like a couple of $1,000 after I made that connection. So I was like, wow, that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
So I was like, so once you make those connections like that, things shift and move. And then if something else services, you just make that connection again. And it did have to do with when I was a little kid. And then that was really good. So then another thing too was, like yesterday, I went in my child state, and I saw myself, instead of just one little child, I saw myself like triplets.
Good.
So I saw myself in one color doing something that I really love to do. I saw myself in another. I have a vivid imagination. So I saw myself in the other, and then I saw myself with a little child, like an extraterrestrial being, going around in space and stuff like that. So I split myself off. So it was fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It doesn't know.
Yeah. And so that worked. And I'm going to read something real quick, and I'll let everybody else talk. I'm sorry. No. Okay. So I found this, and I thought I would share this. Look for love and expect miracles. So the next, to spend mindful moments throughout the day looking for love. When you deliberately focus your attention on love and joy, then you open the floodgates to receive miracles. So that's it.
Spot on. Thank you, Lisa. Another really good one, and really good reminder. And going back to your aunt for a minute, of course, that the controlling, the hoarding, all of that will be her programs. So however she grew up would have led to her feeling that way, and therefore her behaviors and her beliefs. So changing that is good. And I'm saying this for everybody else as well. When you change someone, you can change their childhood. If you can't change them just to generous, like I know you said you changed her to generous and that worked, that's great. But for others, if you find you can't change them, then change their childhood, because if she had grown up differently, she would have been more loving, more generous, more open, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because you don't realize how much programs we incur from other people. Yes. And it's not ours. And like, sometimes if we get stuck, we're like, this doesn't feel like me. So you have to really selectively sift your intuition. So you have to utilize that, so
one phrase. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, yes, something you can say is, who does this remind me of from my childhood?
True.
And if you can't think of anyone from your childhood, who does it remind me of now? And then who do they remind me of from my childhood? Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, and I was just going to also add the phrase, ask yourself this question. I come from a long line of blank people. So when you're thinking about money, when you think about finances, when you think about abundance, I come from a long line of people who held what belief about that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that will also give you some kind of an indication. So it's like, just as an example, I grew up, being able to answer, my subconscious would have answered. I grew up from a long line of financial losers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the belief system that was there. So then subconsciously, you're being attracted to more situations to perpetuate that belief system that's there. So going back and changing whatever references that are there in order for you to be able to change how your subconscious is answering that phrase or that sentence, so that you can say with certainty, I come from a long line of blank people, and it should resonate with what it is that you're trying to achieve in your life now.
Right. So thank you for bringing this subject up, because I know it will apply to a lot of people. Yeah, and my one was, I come from a long line of strugglers, people who struggle and who are proud to struggle. That was a big, big thing. It was a badge of honor to struggle. So I've changed that, of course. So thank you, Lisa. That's wonderful, because that really has, I'm sure, helped a lot of others as well.
Yeah, great.
A great example. Thank you. And Swasti. Hi, Swasti. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I just wanted to share something about the superpower. A good thing, fast. So I had cuts on my thumb because I'm learning to cook and I'm quite clumsy. And usually they would take like a week or so to heal,
Right.
because my skin is just like that. But now I saw that they healed in 1 or 2 days. And I honestly think it's due to the superpower.
Yes, that's perfect. And scientifically, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because when we're feeling stressed, because if I remember correctly, you were spending quite a lot of time feeling anxious, feeling anxiety. And while those stress chemicals are in your system, the cells are in protection mode. So they're not replicating and they're not taking in nutrients. When you start to practice producing the feel-good chemicals and lowering the stress chemicals, your cells are able to replicate the way they're supposed to and take in nutrients and everything. So that makes perfect sense. Well done, Swasti. That's great.
Thank you.
Good.
And so something people have always told me, so whenever I meet them in the first 24 hours, this will always come back. And they always say, you have bad time management. So I was like, where does this come from?
Right.
And I think this links to a person. This links to my grandma, who I was used to live with. She had this almost a mild form of OCD. So she would have to have things in a particular way. She would have to, because she was like protecting, they were strugglers, like you just, so she had to save food for the children or something. And her husband, my grandpa, wouldn't help in that. He would mess things about, or he would like take the food or something and give it to other children. I think that's where it comes from, because it's almost helplessness with time and like possessing things. So being compulsive about how you're storing them and where you're giving them.
Very good.
I think I need to.
What a great example, and what a great example of how it can be a completely different topic, but will be the same feeling. So that is really, thank you for sharing that, Swasti. And so now, of course, the idea is to love it all, send love to it, and then change it to where your grandmother was relaxed and there was never any struggle, and your grandmother and grandfather worked together. So, and there was always plenty for everybody.
Yeah, so I was trying to do that, and I found it hard to change my grandpa because well, he annoyed my grandma so much in terms of the finance situation, and he would just always be giving food to others rather than his own children.
Okay, so this is great. So now, I know it sounds like it's not great, but it is great. So what you want to do is change his childhood, of course. So however he grew up is going to be why he was the way he was. So change his childhood, even if you don't know. So for everybody else as well, if you know what their childhood was like, of course you can change it to the opposite, positive and empowering. But even if you don't know what it was like, just create it from scratch. And so you want the end result to be where he was born to two parents who couldn't wait for him to arrive. He was an only child. He was doted on. He was loved. There was plenty of affection. He was supported. There was abundance. There was encouragement and enthusiasm, and everything. He had everything he needed, particularly, I mean, with material as well, but particularly attention and love and affection. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
And then it'll be easier to change him as your grandfather, because if he'd had a different childhood, he would have been a different type of man, type of person, and he would have been a different husband, father, and grandfather.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
job. Very good. And I must just clarify that changing the childhood in order to make sense of, or in order to make it easy to change the adult, is not for the subconscious sake. It's for the conscious mind's sake, because the subconscious won't go, well, if he'd had a better childhood, he would have been a different man. That's the conscious mind. So what often gets in the way when we want to change someone is the conscious mind using logic and reason, going, well, he would never have been like that. Yeah. So that's why we change the childhoods, for the conscious mind's sake.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And I also have just one quick question. So the thing I talked about yesterday about the confused about the future.
Yes.
I haven't actually worked on that yet because of the bad time management today. So I was just wondering, I don't really know how to decide on what paths to choose, what paths to go down on, because there are so many possibilities. My head was physically hurting from all the possibilities that I could take from here on.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of things here. So the first thing I want to say is, whenever you catch yourself saying, I have bad time management or anything like that, change it in the moment and say, I have good time management. I have fabulous, perfect time management. However you want to phrase that, even if you don't believe it yet, and even if you don't see evidence of it yet, say it anyway, because it will start to affect how your decisions and how you see yourself and all of that, in ways that you can't even imagine and that you may never know. And so for me, one of my phrases was, I don't know what to do. And I started catching myself in the moment going, I do know what to do. I always know what to do, even though I didn't know what to do. But you keep repeating it until it becomes the truth. So I have perfect time management. I am the best at time management, or however you want to phrase it. Okay, so that's one thing. As for the sort of confusion and not knowing which direction to go in, so you'll change the childhood memories and practice those, and then send that superpower to all of the options, whatever they are, including the ones that you can't see yet. So whatever you end up doing, love it all anyway. And even if you end up not being able to choose anything and you sit there for the rest of your life and never do anything, love that as well. Send love to it. Okay, so that's that. And then once you've done that and you've changed any childhood memories and practiced them to do with the same sort of feeling, confusion and not knowing what to do in that, then make a list of how you want to feel. So regardless of what you end up doing, how do you want to feel in your daily life? So for me, for example, I wanted to feel the feeling of, I love my life. No matter what I was doing, no matter what job I was doing or what activities I was doing or who I was with. So this is before I met Steve, I just wanted to feel like I love my life. So that's the touchstone. And then once you've got that, then you could make a list of things that you would like to do or that you've thought of doing, and just make a list of each one. You can add the pros and cons. Don't worry about how yet. Just go, you know what, I've always wanted to write, or I've always wanted to, I would love to be able to help people empower people, or whatever that may be. And then go through that list. So the one you want most, start with that one, and then go through the list of why you think you couldn't do it. So if you could wave a magic wand right now, this is after you've done everything I've said first. So you could wave a magic wand, what would you be doing? And how would that feeling be of I love my life, or I'm so happy, or whatever that touchstone is? And then come up with the reasons you think you couldn't do it, or what's stopping you from moving forward with that now. So it may be, I don't have the right qualifications. It may be I'm too young. It may be I'm too, insecure, or I don't have the confidence, or I don't know the right people, whatever those challenges are or obstacles. And then go to each one and go, how do I know? So how do I know I don't have the right qualifications, or that I couldn't get, if I don't have the right qualifications, what's stopping me from getting them? If I don't know the right people, how do I know I can't make contact with the right people? If I'm too young, how do I know I'm too young? Whatever that is. And then again, how does it feel? Where in my childhood did I have the same feeling? Could be a different topic, as you know, but same feeling, and change those. And of course, sending love all the time to whatever options, whatever the future holds. And then when you finally have, if you still have like 3 options that you could and you don't know which one to do, here's a little tip that is very effective, is wear each decision for a little bit. So pretend you're going to take this option. You pretend you've made this decision, option A, and go about your day pretending you've made that option. You're going to go ahead with that, and notice how you feel. Then the next day, or a few hours later, depending on when you have to make the decision, do it the same with option B, and if there's an option C, however many options there are. And by the time you've done that, you'll know which one you want to do. Does that help?
Yeah, it's helped a lot. That will play definitely.
Very, very good. I'm so glad.
Thank you.
Good job, Swasti. You're very welcome. And the fact is, whatever you do is going to be brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that for a fact. I would bet money on that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, sweetheart. All right. And then Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. How are you today?
Good. How are you? I would bet money on that too.
Yes.
Swasti. So a lot is happening. So as far as you gave me some really good tips about the receptacle, and I had talked about, keeping things and saying, I don't want to get rid of it because I don't want to throw it away. And that phrase, and same with food, and I would just eat it so it wouldn't go to waste. And you said, well, so you're treating your body as a receptacle. Your sister had said that to you one time. So that's really helped me a lot. I'm throwing food away, and I'm not eating it. And same with stuff in my house. If I don't need it, I'm getting rid of it. And I'm feeling a lot of movement there. So that is also making me feel better about my environment.
Excellent.
Yeah, like I'm looking around and I'm saying, oh, there's not these piles as much on the table of papers and stuff like that. So that's some progress. Then I have the ants in the kitchen, and my son has been doing it with me as well. I was having a little trouble loving the ants, but I'm doing much better. Like I said, oh, I'm doing good with the ants. I lifted up the cat food bowl, and then there was ants underneath, and then I was like, oh, but there has been much fewer ants. So I think we're making progress there. And then the reframing of my childhood memory, where my family goes for the walk and then we pick up the mail on the way home.
Yes.
I've noticed that I've been still writing thank you notes regarding, my husband passing, and those were really hard, but I'm making a little more progress there. And I notice I'm getting more mail that's positive. Like yesterday, I got 2 birthday cards from my mom, but my birthday was in February, but she has a little dementia. But it was still nice mail to get.
Ah, lovely.
And then I called her and said, Mom, you want to laugh? You sent me 2 birthday cards. But
Nice.
and then another thing which is interesting to me is trying to attract abundance. You know, I had that opportunity recently presented to me about you know, possibly bringing some money in my way, and I was right away, you know, there was a lot of things that, you know, I was seeing as no, that's not good for me kind of thing. And then so I've been trying, you know, to redo my childhood so much. And then this morning I woke up and had a completely different perspective on it. So, like, completely different. So
Really?
I think that is, I think it really works. Like if you apply the superpower to things, it really helps. So I'm feeling good about that. And I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about everything. The only one question I have, or I don't even really, I think I already know the answer, so I just have to keep working on it. But when I think about, you know, not, you know, how the stuff got here in the first place. How did the food get here? How did the piles get here? Where is that coming from? And I know that I shop and I'll be at the grocery store and I'll say, oh, you know, like I wrote it down. You may have responded, so I apologize.
I have, yes.
All right. So just that there's this favorite coffee that I love, and I was going to buy it at the store the other day. I always like to have, you know, an extra one of everything. And I also, if I'm eating something and I really like it, I always will fold up the bag. I'll have those few extra and I'll stash it somewhere to make sure that I don't run out. And so I've been trying to get to the bottom of that. So I know you said it could be anything that I was lacking. It could be attention. It could be affection. It could be food. It could be things. I mean, the list is endless as to what it could be, because it was just a big lack.
Yes, exactly.
You know? So then I started, you know, so I'm just trying to, I'm not really sure. It's a little overwhelming. Where do I start? You know,
So before we go too far from it, I want to first talk about the ants just very briefly. Well done with that, with sending them love. And in addition to continuing to send them love, just check what's there. How, like you said, you found it a little bit difficult to send love to them. What is the worst thing about those ants? What's the worst thing about the ants being there? Because as I know Steve always says, whenever there's an insect, he goes, they don't eat much. So
yeah, I mean, I love insects, but I guess in my head, I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have ants on your kitchen floor. Everybody knows that.
Oh, so very good. How do you know you shouldn't have ants on your kitchen floor? What's wrong with it? Because ants are actually clean. I mean, I don't like to have ants around either, but there's nothing wrong with them as such. They're quite clean. You know, cockroaches.
Are they? Okay, so I guess I was thinking that they were like a sign that things are dirty, or, oh my gosh, what if someone comes over and sees ants, you know?
Now you'll find that ants, I found anyway, where even when there's no food, we have those big black ants that come in and they wander about even though there's no food. And someone actually mentioned they're looking for water sometimes. Now, of course, if you've got food out, of course, that's, you know, then they're coming for the food, but also just check what that meaning is, because again, if you've got food out and ants come for the food,
so what?
Exactly. Yeah. Where does that meaning come from? And so then you can change that. And then as far as the rest of what you were saying, so just remind me, because that was quite a long, so what was the next question from all of that? Well,
it was just, how do I focus on, you know, you said that, you know, I know I'm feeling some sense of lack from my childhood. So it could be attention, it could be affection, it could have been
the next piece. Yes. So the lack. So the way to find out, so you know, as you say, it could be all of those things or any of them. what we do with the Remmert method specifically is we don't go digging. We don't do any unnecessary archaeology. Okay, so if you don't know which piece it is, that's okay. Just create brand new from scratch where it was all fabulous. So what you're aiming for is your childhood and your parents' and grandparents' childhoods were full of abundance. There was always plenty. So you can create brand new memories of abundance of affection and attention and love from both your parents and your grandparents, if you'd like. There was always an abundance of food. And the things that we're teaching you now, have your parents teach you that. So have your parents say to you, you know, here's the thing, there's no need to eat something just because you don't want to waste it, because that's like, let them teach you that. So that really is coming from those people who had so much influence on you and so much impact on you. And make plenty of fun, abundance of fun, abundance of joy, abundance of peace. So some memories of you're all lying in hammocks reading, or you're playing on a trampoline. You can really just build and build that abundance of everything good. And then as you do that, you may find a memory comes up as you're doing it. A memory comes up that may look like it's not connected. So in other words, you may be doing the abundance of affection and a memory of lack of food in some way comes up, then just change that to the opposite and positive, come back to the abundance of affection and continue. And I did say in my reply to you that you sent me about the buying of the coffee and that, read the reply because I can't remember the full.
I will.
There's quite a bit of detail, but one of the pieces I wanted to say is, it's not about whether you buy the extra coffee or not. It doesn't matter. You buy it, you don't buy it, that doesn't matter. It's about what the emotions are, what's driving you. So you want to choose to buy it or to not buy it from a calm, strategic point of view. And there's nothing wrong with having a spare of something that you like, you know, of course, as long as it's not perishable, I suppose. But we have plenty of bags of coffee in the freezer because we like a particular coffee and we don't want to run out of it. But if we suddenly did run out of it, that's okay. Then we'd have something else, or we'd miss, you know, we'd skip it or whatever. So you don't want to be at the mercy of anything outside of yourself.
And one thing that just came to me when you were talking, I remember one day my mom saying, I have 3 younger brothers, and they all make good money. And one day my mom was saying to my friends, she was saying, oh yes, I have 4 wonderful children. My son's a lawyer, my this. And one day my daughter's going to make something of herself. This was not that long ago.
Okay.
And I was like, what? Like, I'm a teacher. Like, but, you know, so that just came to me that, oh, she didn't really value me because I don't make a lot of money. So that's probably something there.
Definitely. That's a very good key there. And of course, see in your childhood any signs of that, and then change it to the opposite. And for her to say that, she must have references from her childhood along those lines. So you can change it. Good job.
That was very good. I hear your voice in my head all throughout the day.
Good.
Which is good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Good job, Cheryl. I'm so proud of you, and thank you for sharing all of that. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. And then Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Adele and everybody. This is always so interesting. Thank you. Okay, I nearly wasn't here because I needed to be, and I'm out walking because I need somewhere private.
Yes.
Out in the fields, it feels like the most private place. All right, generally, I live in 3 places. I spend a little bit of time with my partner in the week, maybe a couple of days, and I spend a couple of days at my own place, my flat, and then I spend another couple of days with another daughter. So, of course, that's all changed in lockdown. So I'm with my partner at the moment, and So I'm feeling only today because we're allowed now to meet up with a family member. So one of my daughters visited with her child and with, my granddaughter, and we were in the garden. That was good. But just they went, and I just suddenly felt I need to be private. I need to be private, and there's nowhere for me to go.
Okay.
So,
All right. So that's
yeah,
good.
I've already worked a bit on space, but personal space. But clearly, I'd like to do more.
Yes, yes. And that's
Point,
very
isn't
good. And I know that well. So when we were growing up, there was never any, we weren't left alone. So it felt like we were always somebody, you know, picking at you. And there was no closed, you couldn't close your door or have private space or anything. So that, you know, that's a place to go. So when you have, you know, how does it feel? That same thing. So how does it feel? Two ways now. How does it feel to not have private space in the first place? And then an important one is what emotions are there that you have to go into a field to be private? Because I'm hearing something there as well, that means something. So for some people, they wouldn't really notice. They'll just go, oh, I'm just going to go for a walk to get some privacy. And it wouldn't actually have an effect on them emotionally. But and I could be wrong, but I think I'm getting from you the fact that you have to go into a field to get some privacy seems to have a meaning for you there. Is that the case? Yeah. So look for that. How does that feel? That I have to go into a field to get some privacy. And then where in your childhood did you feel that same feeling? And it may not be to do with privacy. Listen to me speaking American, privacy. I've been here long enough to pick up certain things. Oh, you've muted yourself, I think, by accident.
I beg you pardon. Yeah.
So that's where you want to go first. And of course, in addition to being in that state of unconditional love and sending love to the whole lot anyway, the people who are not giving you privacy, filling yourself first, of course, whether you have privacy or not, sending it to the people who aren't giving you privacy, fill them with it, and fill the whole situation, even if you never have privacy again in your life. Fill all of that with that same unconditional love, in addition to changing those childhood memories and practicing the new ones. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes every bit of sense. And I'll have to get on and do it.
Yes. Because the truth is, it doesn't in itself have a meaning. It's the meaning we give to it. I remember I used to, you know, if I saw, I remember once I was driving along a motorway and I saw a woman walking with her child, carrying her child, little like a toddler, towards a help phone, you know, thing. So her car had broken down. It was a beautiful day. There's nothing wrong, you know. She was just, but I felt this heartache that was just ridiculous. I felt like that poor woman, and I had this whole thing in my head about the suffering that I can't even identify with anymore, but I know where it came from. It came from my mum talking about the suffering and, you know, coal, trying to get some coal and sneaking coal because they weren't allowed to have it. And this, I mean, the drama. So we put meaning to things that comes from our childhood that isn't actually necessarily there right now. So there, I think there's a key there for you in the meaning of, I can't get privacy and I have to go into a field just to get some time on my own. There's something there. Does that help?
It certainly does. Thank you.
Good. Very good. And Steve, if you can add it to the target list as well, please. Thank you. All right, sweetheart. Thank you. And sending you lots of love and a big hug. So you're not alone in that field after all. We're with you anyway.
I know you all are. Thank you. That's why I feel courageous to do this.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. So I'm going to check the check the chat. Let's have a look. Hi, everyone. I'm having a hard time still with noise. which got better with the lockdown, but now everything is reopening. The neighbors are loud, and we'll have new ones added to them. I feel desperate, and sometimes I wonder if it could be a sign from the universe that I should move out. Like they add more and more triggers so that I move out. I've worked on that, and sometimes I'm okay with it, but at the moment I'm not okay. I don't move out because I'm very scared to be in a worse place because I haven't addressed this thoroughly. That's wise. I send ESC to that's a superpower to the noise and neighbors, to the traffic, the street, etc. But the fear and upset feeling are still there. Okay, so good job, sweetheart. So now, I know this so well, I cannot tell you how well I know this. Because I had that where it would grate on my nerves. I would get so triggered by noise. People, you know, they would do not self-development, self-improvement, you know, the do-it-yourself things. The dogs barking, the loud music, the people laughing, the noise from the traffic, all of those kind of things would trigger me. In my case, it was my mum. So my mother was always triggered by loud noises and unnecessary noises. She was on edge. And so I picked that up from her. I learned by osmosis, not realizing it, not consciously, but unconsciously, that that's how you respond. That's how your brain and body responds when there is a loud noise or an unnecessary noise, people being inconsiderate with their music and so on. All of that is programmed. So I learned it from her. And then when I changed her, along with sending the superpower, I started to not notice the loud noises anymore. So that's one part of it. So continue with the superpower, yes, but also check where in your childhood you learned. So first of all, if there's anywhere in your childhood you learned that this is the way to respond to noise, or this is what noise means. So because if it means people are being inconsiderate, that is a piece of data on its own that you want to change. How do you know they're being inconsiderate? Where in your childhood did you learn it? Okay. And then the second part is that feeling. So when the loud noises, when the, you know, whatever you've got going on there, whatever noises are there, the neighbors and the businesses and all of that, how does it feel? Where in your childhood did you feel that feeling? It may have nothing to do with noise. And then change those memories to the opposite, positive and empowering. And so that's that part. So you want to end up where if you move, it's a strategic choice. It's not to get away from anything. That's crucial because, as you've said, you know that if you move to get away from this, you'll take it with you in some way. So your new place, you will be because it's inside you. So, and then once you've changed it and you've practiced those new memories and you're able to stay in that state of unconditional love, and then eventually you don't even notice the noise anymore, then you can trust any decisions you make. You will end up in a place that is fabulous and everything you want. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you need more clarification on that. All right, and then some just comments and things. Steve says, I'm going to share this in case it helps others. Steve says, Cheryl, as for the ants, think about how that little you learned that ants were a sign of a dirty house and what that meant. Yes, so that's a good suggestion. What will others be thinking or saying if they know you have ants? And all of that will help you find emotional roots. So he says, Cheryl, LOL, hearing Odil's voice all day long, you and I have something lovely in common. Yes. All right. And hi, Caro. Can you buy some noise canceling headphones? Steve for my, okay. So noise canceling headphones. So you can do that, but you want to address the references as well. You can use that as well, but address those references because that's the empowerment. Because if, you know, our subconscious is constantly trying to keep us in alignment and keep us the same. So if you do something practical that solves the problem, your subconscious will find another way to recreate those feelings. Either, so if it's not noise, it'll be something else. So make sure that you, in addition to getting the noise canceling headphones, you also work on those references and change them. Oh, you say, I have headphones for the night, but I don't want to use them during the day because otherwise I'll never address the issue. Quite right, sweetheart. Very good. All right, so I hope that helps. And I'm sure Steve has added it to the list. And let's go with the targeting then. So take a deep breath and go into your superpower state, however you normally do that. So using your word or phrase, or your anchor, or by imagining holding your subject in your arms in a hug. Very good. Feel your heart opening. Feel that physical sensation in your chest or solar plexus. That expansion. And that light or energy shining out from you. And now allow that light or energy to spread down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips. So you're now full of that light, that energy. Allow it to fill each of the 50 trillion cells that make up your body. Love each cell just for existing. Very good. And now fill your subject with that light or energy. Love them just for existing. And now imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you, or some other negative state, and keep them filled with that same light, that energy anyway. Love them anyway, exactly as they are, no matter what. Good job. Now let's go over to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that light or energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Lisa just for existing. Very, very good. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Lisa and fill everything and everyone in her life with that same light, that energy, loving it all just for existing no matter what, shining light into any darkness, past, present, and future. Good job. And now to Swasti. Fill Swasti with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Swasti just for existing. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from Swasti and fill all the options that she may or may not have. And no matter which direction she chooses to go in, love it all anyway, exactly as it is. All the possible different futures, love all of it. Shine that light. And shining the light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now to Cheryl. Fill Cheryl with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Cheryl just for existing. Very good. And now allow that light, that energy to overflow from Cheryl and fill any feelings of not enough. So any feelings of there not being enough of anything. Love it all anyway. and all the way, shine that light all the way through Cheryl's childhood, her parents' and grandparents' childhoods. Love it all exactly as it is, shining light into any darkness. And even if there isn't enough, love it all anyway. Think of that worst case scenario and flood it with that light, that energy, shining the light into darkness. This is your power. Loving it all anyway. Very, very good. And now to Chris. Fill Chris with that same light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Chris just for existing. Very good. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Chris and fill everyone in her life, whether they give her privacy or not. Fill them all with that light, that energy. Love them all anyway. And love the privacy and the lack of privacy. And even if there's never any opportunity to be alone, love it all anyway. Fill it all with that light, shining that light into the darkness. Loving Chris and the circumstances exactly as she and they are. Very, very good. And now to Katrina. Fill Katrina with that light, that energy, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Katrina just for existing. Good job. And allow that light or energy to overflow from Katrina and fill everything and everyone in her life with that same light, that energy, no matter what, loving everything and everyone anyway, shining that light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now to Caro. Fill Caro with that same light, that energy, that love, from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Love Caro just for existing, exactly as she is. And allow that light, that energy to overflow from Caro, fill her whole home and spreading out to her neighbors and the businesses and everything around her. Fill all of it with that light, that energy, exactly as it is. Even if it never changes, shining that light into any darkness. The people, the noise, the traffic, and anything else, filling it all with that light, that energy shining out from Caro, that power, loving it all anyway, exactly as it is, shining that light into darkness. Very, very good. Good job. And now to anyone experiencing turmoil and unrest, fill all of that with that light, that energy. Everyone in the world who may be affected by unrest, turmoil, stress, conflict, love it all anyway, exactly as it is, without needing it to change, shining the light into darkness, feeling that power, loving it all. Good job. And now to everyone on the call who's not on camera, fill all of them with that light, that energy, that love, loving each one just for existing. And allow that light or energy to overflow from each of them and fill their lives, everyone and everything, and every experience and circumstance in their lives with that same light, that energy, that love, loving it all anyway. And now to everyone watching the recording, fill each of them with that same light, that energy, that love, exactly as they are, no matter what's going on for them. Love it all exactly as it is, shining light into any darkness. Very, very good. And now open your heart more and receive the light, the energy, the love from everyone else, including me, filling you with that same light, that energy, that love, loving you exactly as you are. And feel that boost in power. Good, good job. And now think of yourself later today, and no matter what you'll be doing, feeling, or experiencing, fill that version of you with that same light, that energy, loving that version of you no matter what, exactly as you are. Very, very good. And you can open your eyes if you haven't closed. All right, so how was that for everyone? And thank you, Steve, for the reminder. Yes, so a reminder about the weekly challenge. So hopefully you've got your list of 5 to 10 people to practice sending love to, starting with the easy ones that you already feel it's easy to send love to them, and getting a little bit more difficult with each one, setting that challenge for yourself. So I'll check in with you. I forgot about it today, so thank you, Steve, for the reminder. So practice it again today and tomorrow morning, and then when we check in tomorrow, if I forget, if someone could remind me to check in about the weekly challenge, for to ask you how you're doing with it. All right, and Lisa says, thank you everyone, I love you all, you are all doing a magnificent job. I second that. Thank you, Lisa. All right, everyone, so keep practicing. Swasti says, thank you, I got a lot out of today's session, my heart is so full. That is so wonderful to hear, Swasti, and ours are full of you as well. You are such a beautiful, shiny example, all of you are. I'm so proud of every one of you. Good job, everybody. See you tomorrow then. Bye-bye now.